My top 5 films. Hi! You may call me Title. It's my birthday this month and... What? How old am I turning? I'm not telling you that! A lady never tells. Which is actually very telling of our society's toxic beauty standards and blatant ageism, but for me this stems from more of a place of stranger danger, and the internet is a scary place, and I'm also fairly shy, so... Tangent aside, it's my birthday this month and I thought I'd talk about the greatest gifts I've ever been given. In the form of media, that is. A little backstory before we begin, though. To be incredibly clear, I'm creating these videos as a way for y'all to get to know me outside of my Doctor Who ramblings. And I also want to get to know you, if that makes sense and you're okay with that. Because I find, in real life anyways, that asking people about their favorite media is a great insight into what kind of person they are, and it also offers a safe refuge of topic to talk to during that awkward getting to know you phase. So, here's me. And here are my favorite things. And while there is no peer pressure to ever agree with me, please respect me as I have always respected you. These are only opinions after all. And my opinions on film? I've fallen back in love again. There's a time there, and it's still sort of ongoing, where my time management, energy, and general mental health stopped me from enjoying movies. Movies were all too long, too redundant, and just too much for me to stop and enjoy them. Especially one of my favorite memories, one of the only times in my life where I felt at peace and loved and at home, was due to a movie. But more so the experience of going to the movie theater with my crew group of friends, and knowing everyone in the theater was experiencing the movie the same way. It could only have been 30 people, but somehow everyone was laughing and crying and applauding in sync. I even remember a girl from my high school scream a little too loud at the characters on screen, and everyone in the theater laughed in agreement with their frustrations. This film was Love, Simon, and it's the only time in my life where I felt part of a community. I have not since seen that film, because I'm just afraid. Anyways, I then graduated high school, and started working long hours. I didn't have the time or energy for movies. And then COVID changed everything and took away the opportunity to experience movies that way ever again. Because I would always be worried during a film about the people around me, if they had COVID, and I couldn't eat anything or drink anything because I was just so hyper aware of everyone around me and the risks I was taking to watch something that I could just stream later. But later never came, did it? Because I was always the kid who hoarded the tickets I got from the movie theaters and enjoyed discussing the film afterwards at length with my parents. And now I became the kid who avoided movies because I thought that nothing could ever bring that feeling back and that I would not be safe again. Yeah, mental illness! Woohoo! But I've been trying to fall back in love with movies, again, on my own. And my efforts have been so rewarding. I don't know if this is a necessary precursor for such a bland topic as my favorite films, but I thought the context might be helpful in explaining my choices. If nothing else, free therapy for me, I guess. Fuck, I don't know. But what I do know is the following 5-ish films have had enormous impact on me, and maybe they can for you too. Also, side note, I am not ranking my favorite films because I find it to be a little too on the nose, especially with pieces of art, but I do have a somewhat sorting system for you, and I'll try to translate the best I can from my brain, but no promises. So here's what lies ahead. I'm going to talk about my top 3 choices, which will likely always remain in my top 5 movies of all time, just because of how much of an impact they've had on me, how much I love them, how much I'll rewatch them, that kind of thing. My 4th choice is a bit shaky, just because I've found it during last year, and sometimes it takes a bit of time for me to be like, yes, I am solid in my choices, I was correct in choosing you, but it will likely remain in my top 5 for many years to come. And then my 5th choice is actually several, and it's going to be chaotic, and I am so sorry, but I couldn't format it any other way, and I'm not going to even try. So, fair warning for how this is going to go. Thank you if you're still listening. Let's go. One of my top 3 films is Carol, a movie based on Patricia Highsmith's The Price of Salt and adapted by Phyllis Nag, featuring Cate Blanchett and Rooney Mara in the main roles and directed by Todd Haynes. And yes, disclaimer, this movie did receive funding from the Weinstein Company. However, they were solely responsible for distributing the film in the US and were not actually a producer, and in no way affected any of the creative decisions of the film. So, take that as you will. Yeah. That aside, Carol is a work of art, from the script taking decades to make, to Todd Haynes using old-fashioned lenses to capture the 1950s grit, to the actual acting of Blanchett and Mara to sell the romance. This film is a work of love, as well as art. I read the book afterwards, and it's one of the few movies that hold up to the book, even though and because of minor differences in adaptation. I am trying so hard not to spoil this film, along with the rest of the films I'm going to talk about. But just allow me to take one scene out of context. This will not spoil a damn thing, I promise. It just sells the film. Bear with me. And this scene is where Carol is driving Therese through the Lincoln Tunnel. During the scene in the book, Therese wished the tunnel might cave in and kill them both, that their bodies might be dragged out together. Only a blossoming lesbian can get away with that type of romanticism. But in the film, the directing and music perfectly captures that feeling of wanting the tunnel to never end so the two of them may be together forever. And the way it focuses on Carol's wrist on the wheel and captures Therese's gaze, as if she is noticing all these new things to love about the person she's falling in love with. It's so romantic. But authentic as well. After my mom saw this movie, and yeah, you heard that right, my straight mother fucking watched this film to approve it for me, since I was too young to be watching rated R film, technically. She approved it anyways, she's cool. But she loved this scene, and cried over the film, and compared it to her own experiences. It made me realize that Carol is a romance for everybody, and the fact that it doesn't have a depressing ending is just a breath of fresh air, especially considering that Bury Your Gaze was going to happen the next year. Woo. Another film in my top 3 is Wolf Children. Holy fuck. This film made me cry 3 times, and no film has done that before or since. This film is a slice of life, capturing the story of Hannah falling in love, losing love, and loving her kids in the best way she knew how. The way it shows parenting struggles, housing struggles, and just basic human struggles with identity, it's touching in its relatability. And unfortunately, I do see myself and my brother and Hannah's kids, Ame and Yuki. But the acceptance and willingness Hannah shows towards both of their journeys... This film feels like being held as one grows into an adult, and I can't say any more without spoiling the film or over-explaining my feelings ad nauseum. Wolf Children is gorgeous in every way imaginable. The last film in my top 3 is V for Vendetta. Okay, I have to be upfront about something. I absolutely hate how this movie has been used as ammo by the very side it's warning against. Very similar to how The Matrix has been used, which was actually created by the same creators. But it's not enough to stop me from loving it, okay? Alright, now that we got that out of the way, let's get you some context. Yes! In this dystopian society based on a comic book, the vigilante V takes on Evie due to his fight against the society. And what happens from there... very twisty. Also, holy shit, the dialogue is immaculate. Its use of assonance and dissonance, it just shows V's very planned out intentions, and it's playfully sinister. Again, credit to the directing, for it uses lighting to show what emotions V might feel under that mask. And personal bias here, but what does that really matter when I'm talking about my favorite films, which is very personal. But the screenplay written by the Wachowski sisters for this, who also wrote and directed one of my top 5 TV shows called Sense8. They just absolutely nailed the dialogue to hit while also capturing the source material. Also, Stephen Fry's in this, and is gay, and there's a lesbian love story hidden in there, and there's awesome action sequences in comparison between the two main characters' arcs, and it also serves as a warning for how society seems to be leaning. There's so much love about this film, and it is a masterpiece. Alright, my top 4th film is fairly recent since I only watched it last year, but that film deserves the 4th place title, and that film is This Beautiful Fantastic. And yes, they do say the title of the movie, which always makes me a little giddy, but anyways. Being serious about why this is my favorite. Yes, we are. The establishing narration paired with the set design, and then the introduction of the main character is done skillfully in the first 5 minutes, and it enables the audience to see what kind of film this will be, and what kind of world they're in. I only discovered this film because Andrew Scott was in it, but this film deals wonderfully with mental health. OCD is a fact of life for the main character, Bella Brown, and I love how this film doesn't force Bella to eradicate her OCD to fit in the world, but rather expands her world so she can fit in it, and embrace this beautiful, fantastic change within and around her. It's nuanced, natural, and heartwarming. The way this film embraces friendship, oh, it made me cry. Also, how distinct each character is within this world, it just... Chef's kiss. And I hate saying chef's kiss because I'm not a slang user of this century, but they deserve it. Okay. I love this film, and I love how it uses gardening as a metaphor for growth and following one's dream and falling in love. It's just a fantastic film, guys. And girls, and bees. Yeah. Now it's my chaotic 5th choice of this list. Why is it chaotic, you ask? Because, depending on the day, I may change the answer. I find all the following films equal, but just in different aspects and for very different reasons. And I could have extended this list, made it a top 10 films or whatever, but that instills a sense that these films are ranked when in fact each hold a distinct but equal place in my heart. So without ado, here are my choices for my top 5th film on any given day. These things are in flux, as one might say. One film deserving 5th place is Romantics Anonymous. This is a French-Belgian romance film that just makes me giggle, and I love its premise. And that premise is that a woman with anxiety gets a job at a chocolate factory, but it's not the job she actually applied for, and she's too anxious to correct her manager that also secretly has anxiety. And thus she goes to meetings similar to AA to discuss her feelings from there. The two characters fall awkwardly in love, and chocolate is what allows them to. I can't think about it without smiling, and I relate to it a lot, and it's actually very respectful of anxiety disorders. I don't know, maybe I'm just a simp for stories where the main female character has a mental illness that impinges on her life, and then an event occurs, which forces them to face that mental illness in a much needed, but natural and healthy way. And my next choice of movie does indeed follow that archetype, and that film is Adult Life Skills. This indie film was made by one of Jodie Whittaker's friends, and is one of the reasons she stars in it. But this film feels so special and close-knit due to that, and definitely has this particular feminine gaze to it that just makes it heartwarming and heartbreaking, and like the humor is an inside joke between friends. Again, a woman dealing with her grief and her dead-end life has an event occur, where she has to look after a kid whose mom is dying from cancer, and the emotional journey and acceptance of life continuing on is brilliant. It's definitely a niche film, but it's so honest that I don't know what else to say about it, like, just go watch it if you want. I don't know. It's on Netflix if you're in the UK, and if you're not, use a VPN or whatever. I don't know why I love this film so much. It's just, the acting and script writing is stellar. Alright. My last film that follows that mental illness trend is Where'd You Go, Bernadette? Here, a woman with a lovely petri dish of mental illness like anxiety, agoraphobia, PTSD, and whatever else you want to tack on there because it's not really said in the film, but it's seen, has to deal with her daughter wanting to go to Antarctica and all that unravels from there. This film may be the first time I've seen my mother displayed so accurately since Lorelai and Gilmore Girls, but that aside, Cate Blanchett is so good at nailing book adaptations, what the fuck? And the niche humor and formatting of this film is excellent. And how it uses Bernadette's architecture to relate to how she feels throughout, giving a huge shout out to the set design people here. Way to go. This is just really well done. I like to watch this film every December due to its Antarctica theme, but it also reminds me to follow my dreams on the next coming year, despite the drama of this year. Another film fighting for top 5th place is one I just watched this year, called Straight Up. I'm such a fan of creators who write, direct, and star in their work, like Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and just like James Sweeney in this film. We have another character struggling, this time with OCD and his sexuality, until he meets his intellectual soulmate in the form of a woman named Rory. And yes, there are references to Rory from Gilmore Girls, which just takes this film up to another level. The reason I adore this film is due to how it analyzes and portrays love. Because I have experienced the exact type of love this film portrays, and have been forced by society to think about what the heck it means, if it's platonic, or what have you. And the sequence where they hang out for the first time house-sitting, and talk for hours and bond is exactly how I fell in love with other people, and just lost track of time. Also, the film hints at Rory's PTSD from being assaulted previously by a different guy, and how the film is told equally through her trying to move forward, and from the other main character's point of view, is just spectacular. Maybe I'm in too deep with my own romantic experiences, but I've just never seen romance done like this before, and I love having romance that just don't rely on sexual attraction as much. Again, genuine film executed with humor and heartbreak. My last film is the one I do feel weirdest including on this list, but the sci-fi horror abuse of it has stuck to me since I saw it, and the acting is second to none. Honestly, if you hate The 13th Doctor, or believe Jodie Whittaker can't act, for some godforsaken reason, please watch this film. Please. Please! Because this film fucking hurts and toys with the question, if you could stop your past self from getting involved with an abuser, or just change the future in spite of that abuser, wouldn't you? Jodie Whittaker portrays this in a gut-wrenching, heart-pounding, fucking emotional roller coaster of trying to stop her past self from falling in love with an abusive jazz musician. And that jazz musician is also acted wonderfully, because you can see how and why people are drawn to him, and why they fail to get away from him. This film is fucked up, and full of triggers, so please look at the warnings beforehand, but it's just such a great portrayal of the cycle of abuse and trying to escape from it. That film is sort of a downer to end my favorite film list on, but hey, I gotta give credit to where it's due, because all of these films made me feel seen or inspired in some way, and I just hope they can do the same for you. Oh shit! I forgot to talk about Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and Lord of the Rings and How to Train Your Dragon. Oh well. It's fine. Take a deep breath. It's okay. We're just gonna pretend that I'm excluding them from the list because they're a trilogy, yeah? Yeah, a fantastic trilogy, but a trilogy nonetheless, so not technically a single film. Yes, I love loopholes. Anyways, now that I've entirely laid my soul bare for your viewing pleasure, please reward my honesty and bravery by telling me your opinions on these films. Or just what your top 5 films are in general and why. And because sharing is difficult, and someone's favorite film can be the reason they are alive today, please be extra kind in the comments below. And if you've watched this through the end, you are one of my favorite people, and I thank you for it. Really, truly, thank you. And, yeah. I have to find a better way to end my videos. We're just gonna say goodbye, and I'll, just say goodbye, and we'll edit it down. We'll make it work. Yep. All right. Bye.